So there's a new charity shop in town, and I decided to stop on in. And luckily, I filmed this before I broke my ankle, because I'm not going to be doing any out and about stuff all that much after this. But anyway, new charity shop. Thought I would check it out. I didn't look. Well, let's just say I didn't think it was that impressive when I walked in, but you never know what you're going to find. In fact, here's one of my favorite finds from that charity shop, and it is this Mellowware. It's vintage Mellowware. It would be actually perfect for camping. That seems to be something a lot of people are doing right now since people can't go on holiday, leaving the country. So it was £8 for the entire set. It was in really good condition, and I decided I was going to take that home with me to list on eBay anyway, or Etsy, not sure yet. And then I came over here to check out a vintage camera, but first I saw this bow tie, wasn't sure if it was vintage, left it alone. Had to pick up the lenses just to check them out because, well, curiosity, but I could tell from afar that they weren't going to be anything special, and they weren't. So I check out this camera in the standard vintage case over here. Anyway, it's an Ilford, made in Germany. And it was, 15 I think they wanted for it. But that happens to be what they go for. So I didn't pick it up. So I saw this. It said it was made in Ireland. And by the packaging, it looked like it could have been vintage. So I decided to check it out. Never been open. But there wasn't anything there to indicate the year. And I just thought, if it's not really vintage, do I want to be stuck with this? And I didn't. So over here I take a quick look at the records just because, but what I really wanted to do was look at the price of that camera in case I was wrong, and I wasn't. 15 wasn't going to be anything I could make money on, and it wasn't a camera I wanted for my collection, so I decided once again to leave it behind. So I like this little ring dish or little jewelry vanity thing, but clear glass, I just don't need it. But this looked very mid-century to me, and it's Royal Albert Star of Eve pattern. And I wasn't too sure if I wanted to get it because I don't like to pick up a set necessarily. I don't mind picking up pieces here and there, but I don't want to deal with a lot of the same thing. So, and speaking a lot, there's a lot of vintage patterns in there, like crochet or knitting patterns, and I did contemplate it because they were really cheap, but I was like, I just don't need it. I don't want to be dealing with it, and I don't think they're going to be big money makers, so I left it behind. And you see me checking out the jewelry. I don't check that out for myself. It's not something I sell, but it's something Dolores does, so I decided that I was going to check them out for her. And this looked really cool. I loved it. I think it was £8, I want to say. I think it says it on there, but forgive me. Yeah, I think it's like £8. And I went to go put it back because of the price, and then I said, ooh, it's Wedgwood. So I looked it up, and it turns out they don't go for any more than that, so I left it behind. And I don't always pick up Pyrex, but sometimes I'm drawn to it, and this one I definitely was. So that one came home for the resale pile. These were Denby mugs, but they were like local tourist pieces, so I wasn't that intrigued. Looked at them real quick, decided it was a no. And I spot this blue and white little lidded canister, maybe like a marmalade jar kind of thing, and ironstone. I wasn't keen on the price, so I put it back. But it was in really good condition.
Thank you, look.
Okay, changed my mind. I decided to get it. And that table, I just thought deserved an honorable mention. It was only £8, which I thought was a bargain. Not really my style, but if I sold furniture, I would have picked it up. And those earrings and that brooch, they were, Royal Derby. So I decided to pick them up for Dolores. Okay. Now, I see this. I absolutely fall in love with it. Oh, and quick disclaimer, if you didn't notice in the last charity shop that we're in, because this is now a different one down the street from it, I accidentally left behind the ironstone blue and white container that I hummed and hawed about. It wasn't intentional, and then somebody picked it up after me, so I didn't get to take it home. So now we're in the third charity shop of the day. I did pick up that last milk glass blue and white container that went home with me. And now I'm checking out this glass owl. Now, it was only 95 pence, so I thought that was pretty cool. But I wanted to see what it said underneath it, if anything, and I couldn't, so I left it. And these parakeets or budgies, depending on where you're from and what you call them, they were in great condition, but they didn't have a maker's mark, and I didn't want to take a risk. I just don't need the stock right now. I have to really want it. And this I did really want. But you might see quickly, there it is, there's a chip on the bottom. Okay, so these are those little, like, typically Russian dolls, but these were, well, this was a cat, and I wanted to see what else was in there, like what the other ones were, and if they were in good condition, but it was taped shut.
So you wouldn't get by, I just was following the arrows, so kind of thought you might be going that way too.
Yeah, that was a bit annoying. So basically, as I was trying to check this out, this guy was just literally way too close and staring right at me. Didn't say excuse me, didn't say hi, didn't say anything. So yeah, that's what that interaction was all about. Anyway, I find this dog, it's only $2.95, looks like Cooper Craft, but typically they say made in England on them. This one I didn't see that. His eyes were a bit dusty, but I cleared them off so I could check it. Or check them to make sure that they were a good paint job like Cooper Craft would be, and everything looked kosher to me. So I took this beautiful little doggy home with me. And then I saw this picture, but I had a feeling it might have had like a lid at one point. I could be wrong, but I don't know. And it just doesn't look like it's from the era that I really go for anyway. So now these, I really like marmalade or jam jars in the shape of oranges. They remind me of going to Florida when I was a kid. But these looked kind of new, and I didn't see a maker's mark to say otherwise, and the condition was just way too nice. So I picked up its mate here, the strawberry, and yeah, I mean, you can tell from the bottom they look super new. There's no way those are vintage, so I just let them be for somebody else. And then Tupperware. I like vintage Tupperware. It doesn't always sell for a ton of money like it used to, depending on the piece, but I decided to check this one out, and it did have the milk jug, but it was missing the sugar bowl, and then it had a bunch of scratching on one side, so I thought, nah. And I really like these. I was trying to look for the maker, but they do look like they might be a newer reproduction of another British company, so pottery company. So I left them be. Plus they were all individually priced, so it would have been too expensive anyway. And these kinds of things do really well for me. At first I thought the top was chipped. It's not. The paint is just a bunch lighter at the top, and it didn't have a maker's mark, which I'm looking for here, but it doesn't always matter. Sometimes I don't find them with maker's mark, but they still sell well. So yeah, that one went in the basket too. Okay, here's another honorable mention. I just had to show you. This is the smallest washing machine I've like ever seen. It's so narrow and so small. I mean, you might as well just wash your clothes by hand in a sink. And it was 200 pounds. Rip off. So this Snoopy, I love Snoopy stuff, by the way. My whole family does. $6.95. It did look vintage. However, when I looked at the tag, it said the copyright year, but it didn't say what year that was actually made in, and it didn't look, it just didn't look like it was worth $6.95 to me. So now here's a vintage board game, I guess you could call it. But anyway, I wanted to open it up and look and see what the pieces were, and this guy was just hovering over me, like breathing over me. It was like, go away, please. I don't like that. I don't understand doing that to people. It's so rude. Like, if you're going to be that close and you're going to hover over me, at least try to have a conversation and be like, hey, if you don't want to buy it, can I look at it? So it did end up going home with me, and that's my charity shop haul for that day. Let me know what you thought of the video, whether you liked or disliked it. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already.